should be working. Hopefully I can do this while still eating.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which you referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
Biora?
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle.
Huh?
A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality.
Huh?
This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait! Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
Huh?
Don't be absurd. This is murder. An in-cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from? I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
You can't have solved it like that. My head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. You've got to be kidding me. Huh? How did you get framed again? I do not believe how you could not wake up. You're a true cold-blooded man. Criminal. But I didn't do anything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. What did you just say? Where's Kazuma? No. Wait. Kazuma's dead? These handcuffs. But if that was Kazuma, then how could he have written that in Russian? Just 2 short weeks ago. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? There's really something else they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way the Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case on the floor. I thought I was going to die. But I was able to fit inside the trunk. I'm deciding to take that as a compliment. $50 days? Why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From your close friend, more to the point. That is true. You better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. Anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'd be a breeze. What if the steward decides to open a wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Hmm? Oh! So, I was the one who wrote that. I've only been at sea for about 15 days. Hmm. It actually came out well. Oh wow, that wasn't that hard to cook. I'm not a murderer. did stow away on the ship, but... But that's not true. Susata. They think I did it. So it was a locked room murder. Okay. So let's figure it out from here. It was a locked room murder, but that doesn't necessarily mean the murder had to take place within the room. Just meant that the door was locked from the inside. So as long as the door was somehow locked from the inside, then that doesn't necessarily rule out anyone outside of the room. There's no access to the cabin via the porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from the outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. But that's not necessarily true. Put another way, the culprit could only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? How did I get... Wait. Because... Okay. If you were to assume that I did do it, how would I have been able to put the Do Not Disturb sign on the wardrobe? I would have to have killed him, got in, put it on, and then went to sleep? Why would I do that? Why would I remain in the crime scene and just leave that there, expecting everyone to leave? It doesn't make sense to stay in the murder room. They don't know the cause of death? There's no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until the expert has been consulted on our next port of call. At our next port of call. So right now we have no idea how he actually died, we just know that he is dead. There are no obvious external signs of injury, so that means no exterior physical wounds. Poison! Please. I may have been in the cabin, but that doesn't mean that I killed him. If the Do Not Disturb sign was on the wardrobe, I was in the wardrobe and I was asleep until I was dragged out, past being handcuffed, then it's entirely possible that Cosmo came into the room and then died here later. After locking the door. But, that all matters. That depends on if there actually was poison. I can't guarantee that until there's a toxicology report, and I don't think we're really in the spot to get a toxicology report. I always wake up before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage, but this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. So, if the body wasn't discovered until early in the morning and we don't know the cause of death, then there's no specific... We can't surmise the time of death. We can't surmise the time of death. We currently don't have even any cause of death. We just know that he was dead and that the only time that we opened the door was early in the morning. So that leaves an open window from the last time he was seen publicly. And this morning? So then where would I have been? Come and force the door open and we managed to get inside. No idea anything had happened. What would have put me to sleep for so long that I wouldn't notice when Kazuma died? Not only that, how long would I stay out all the way until the morning? Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yeah. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. How could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? But he did know. You're getting to it now, too. He invited me. I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. So, I'm keeping an eye on this. Because these are all standing. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that. But I didn't think you were serious. I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, no, definitely not. If you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. He was always saying the same thing. But he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yeah, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. This is knocked over. This is all to the side. So whatever happened, it caused motion to the left. If it caused... the candle fell. Whatever caused motion to the left, it could have caused the latch on the door to close. The only thing that would have moved the books would have been the ship moving? I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. You're right. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. So what is your recollection of what happened last night? I don't really remember. Asma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into the wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yeah. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed. Well, yeah. That means whatever food he got was clearly tampered with, including whatever plate that he gave to me. I know it sounds unbelievable, really, I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd waken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. My head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? That's only under the assumption that this is a locked room murder. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. I want to investigate the room. Did you flip me? Susato, what? Sorry, prove it? Kazuma would stick this over the doors of the wardrobe for me. It says keep out in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew actually read it.
Yes!
When I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside doors on my own. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Thank you? Do you think you could help me up? In light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you. I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you use some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back on. Does she think I am a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I don't have conjuring tricks, I assure you. Oh. A vent? Other which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. It connects to another room instead of out. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. True, but then what's the point of having that? Huh? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? Oh, it's telling me up that. I'm sure you're careful to look all around using the B and M, aren't you? Now let's investigate all corners of this cabin. I assume these are the rules. These are the rules of passage aboard the SS Boria? Wow. I wasn't my fault. Please. I'm a dangerous object, thank you very much. I can't investigate the candle? Roast chicken, it was really tasty. You had some too? Did you eat on the floor here? I'm not a dog! When and how the plate ended up on the floor. So he didn't touch it. Wait. If Cosmo's food was poisoned... If Cosmo's food was poisoned, but the food he brought to me only knocked me out, then what about the food that Cosmo ate? What did he eat? And if the only people who knew that he didn't really like chicken would be me and Susato, then that's a factor whoever tried to kill him probably didn't account for. Which meant all the more for me. It's just too horrible. And I suddenly have a guilty conscience, an achy stomach. Seigi. Oh. The Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. His calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? I'm not innocent of that. Now you're gonna bring that up, aren't you? I can't win. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they're all toppled the same way. A statue of a god of the sea, although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mowed down at once. I seriously doubt it. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Hmm? That seems like an awfully large gap, but I'll have to think about whatever memories. Let me check the door. When I went for help, the crewman forced the door open. This bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt, not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. She glares at me like that, I feel tense up. All up and down my spine. The culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from the outside of the turret. Yeah. That's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. Did I feel pins and needles up and down my spine? Huh? There's nothing on this table at all. The plain coloring all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute. That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. No. It just means that my memory ends. My memory ends after dinner. Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Oh, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Which, in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh, it was less painful than suicidal takedown. What is this? A bell? Glassware. Broken clean in two. So we should try to figure out where that other half is. Or who might have that other half. Speaking of halves. I'm surprised this isn't getting picked up as much as I thought it would be. Please? Please? There we go. Glass is such a beautiful color. Looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. Oh, it does! I'm not sure that Sensei Cosmo though. I wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark besides it, what is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. The desk? Ah. Come on! Did Cosmo write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked down the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. But he knew Russian? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? That's Russian! Huh? Sir? European. How did he... You've noticed the man too, haven't you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. Doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Cosmo's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. If you press space on people when they're in crosshairs, you can converse with them. I was wondering how it's going, the investigation, I mean. Huh? Oh. It wasn't supposed to be a joke. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? I'm gonna take that as a no, or a I am not going to tell you at the very least. Yep. Go back to the corner of the room and make silent. I say no more to do. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Excuse me? Do you have a moment? Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. You are tall. Wow. Uh-huh. Sorry? What do you see? The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You. Huh? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. That part's true, at least. It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Huh? Sir. 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 My name is Naruhodo. Ryunosuke. Where is the Russian in that? Why would I be from Russia? Please, please inform me. Just to be clear, you're talking about me, are you? Nobody fits that description. Susato, please. Susato, please. I wish I was. Stop. You throw first and ask questions later. I kinda respect it. Just stop throwing me. As for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came to your head. But was I not right? While venturing towards foreign climes, you did find yourself in a most troubling predicament, did you not? Do you not? That was 1 for 3. There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, It's more plain observation. An observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. My apologies. How remiss of me. Herlock Sholmes. The very same. Do you know this man, Susato-san? What planet have I been living on then? Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Ah, I see. You're German. Herlock, was it? No, not... I have no her. I mean, I have hair. Please call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in an excited and loving publication. Rants magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interesting articles from Great Britain. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you started to think you actually are a detective. make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backwards. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson. I must say, thanks to the publication, I've been fascinatingly busy of late. I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of muscle, a slight inclination of the posture, fingernails, arm sleeves, froze on the skin. All these things are data. Or data. Right. And a trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How could you look me in the eye and claim that? I have a truth born of observation and... I have a turn both for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? You suppose discovered a culprit in this most cunning hiding place. There's none other than a great detective before you now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. Now I conceal myself among the number, gaining entry into the cabin and the scene of the crime. Wait, so you weren't even allowed in here? You snuck in? And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. So you brought these with you. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Oh! Mr. Holmes, tell us, please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. The two facts that I deduced from a momentary glance at the scene were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape from the culprit out of the question. 2. The victim was Russian and killed... That's incorrect, though. The victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. But he wasn't Russian. So what deduction would make you make that assumption? The only assumption I can probably surmise that led to that is the Russian writing. But that means you would be able to recognize that it's Russian. What made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. This is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Cosmos could have left the dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. That's not true. He wasn't Russian. Initially, I considered Gardeb be the name of a killer, a certain Robert Guard, perhaps. In the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least, where you found Mr. Arnaudo sleeping soundly. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you are acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Do you know what Japanese is? Our school uniforms are the traditional dresses of Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim and a message that I might analyze for possible hidden details. It is Kazuma. Yeah, thank you. The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. It would appear to have been written in the victim's final moments. Okay. So what can we deduce from this? Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Would you mind explaining that train of reason to me, do you think? You know Russian! I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. The not famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in? Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline... Oh, this... Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It's like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-san wrote on the floor. You made an incorrect deduction, though. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. That's... That's a false association. That's faulty association. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his tragedy was discovered. Yes, you. Villain Bolshevik. Villain. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary, after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionary appearances. Please. Might I add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? That's because I am a stowaway. The 16 victims of assassinations blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all of these particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about his revolutionary Bolshevik is included. There could be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? What about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated in here in the article. Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take that paper for yourself. There's a little memento of this great deduction. Thank you. I've observed all of this as an interest in me within its pages, but I see no rubbish written nearby. The article about the revolutionary has been added into the court record. An article on the front page of the Russian newspaper, the headline reads, Revolutionary Violin Bolshevik frees Dasha via Shanghai. And you may find the article on the back of the page interesting as well. On the back, cast your eye over it as sometimes take interest, you may need someone to interpret. This is interesting. Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. Nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She's very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. I'm glad you noticed this article. Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Thank you. It pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented Nikolina Pavlova? Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russia's names so hard to remember? It appeared that the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room. Wearing a diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Those eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlovia and the valuable tiara. They requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. What you were just investigating. Before we started talking, you were examining Cosmo's desk, weren't you? Well, indeed it was. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London Diary. Cosmo's keeping notes of the trip. But I didn't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know the smatterings of Japanese, so you do know what Japanese is. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a suicide takedown is. Nope. Unfazed. Are you gonna throw a detective with one of your trademark takedowns? What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear that the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray, be precise as to details. But I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, Banzai, Mikado. Naru Naru. I trust you're suitably impressed? Naro Naro. Oh, so you know how to say Naru Naru, but you don't know that Naruhodo is Japanese. This diary is littered with complicated looking characters of which I can read precisely none. Yep, that's how kanji is. So was all that showing off about before then? If you'd be so kind to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Shantz. I'm much obliged. My dear madam. Kiss up. 2 short sentences. So, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? Ten minutes later. Well, it looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. So, 1:25 he heard whistling, 1:35 there was a speckled band dangling from the ventilator. I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. Wait a minute. But they said that the second sentence was cut off. It would appear that the final sentence is incomplete as the author were cut short. The first reads, I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:23 a.m., 1:35 a.m. So 12 minutes later, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. To the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. That should be everything. As it happens, the victim's writing in this diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist would reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No. There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit. Sir? Sir, then why am I in handcuffs? Why did I wake up in handcuffs? You must be joking. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said that you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. Were you looking at my knees before? Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you're the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. I'm not. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Huh? Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? Huh? Hey. After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue you're willing to give up. You're just gonna roll over and accept your fate. You threw me on my back! I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in the cabin while we have a chance to slip next door. The situation doesn't look good for me. There are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Cosmo to do everything I can to find a way out of this. And bring the real culprit to justice. Is that? It's just that crewman standing by the door. You're kidding me. Excuse me, sir. It is you. Why are you here? I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is. Osanaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Really stopped, I hope. You're a bit cold. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew on board the ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. But perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So what are your special orders this time, Investigator? Inspector. You can't tell me anything. You said that before. My orders were to act as Asugi-san's bodyguard. Wait, you were a secret bodyguard? It was the Minister of Justice, Jikoku, who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asugi reached Great Britain without being assassinated. How could that have even been a possibility? I'm not sure. These are complicated times. There are tension between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jikoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. It's incredible. Obviously, we couldn't give Asugi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. And I didn't take my eyes off him for the entire time we were on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined what happened here, inside his own cabin. Not here on the first class deck. So we're on the first class deck. The murder had to have happened inside the room. Nobody else could have gone in. Or at least nobody else could have opened the door and then left through that door. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asugi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. Thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not! So I need to be allowed out of this cabin. You can't do that for me, can you? If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin's door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck. Okay. Intense. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next dark cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. Think of how you tried to persuade me with your innocence, Naruto-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Same as when you were in court, you must have done it multiple times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. Evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin. Next door cabin. It would be this. It's Kazuma's diary. He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? We're still trying to work out what he meant by that. What I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. The ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right. So if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. As long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area, I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Are you gonna ask? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asugi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. $7:48 a.m. So that means the time of murder had to have occurred with at least around 1:30. What was it? 1:35 a.m. Well, huh? Hmm? I should... Excuse me? Maps are always important. I gotta make sure to put this away. The Bania is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but... How is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink at the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple. Is it? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan. Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. Huh, I wonder what that thing is. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. There's a huge book at the top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Ship's log, yep. Should I look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. Better not be getting hiccups. 。 wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought I might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Huh? Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Not necessarily. If it's blank, that also just means that somebody probably didn't use it or fill it out. That wasn't a good start, was it? Huh? Oh. She's so sad. You seem to have caught this sailor in a bad day, Susato-san. I'm not sailor, my mother gave me name. I'm senior crewman, Beef Stro... Really? Really? Biff Stroganov. Beef? Beef? So... Biff, if we were to read this in quote-unquote English, Biff Stroganov, using the Russian last name. But if we use it with the Russian twist, it turns into Beef. Beef Stroganov. Like food. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganov? About this first class cabin area. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. This is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I have a stupid story inside. I want to pick you up and throw you into the ocean. But Stroganov is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's currently occupied? Duh. Do you understand that? It sounded like duh. I think that's probably Russian for yes. Or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Then where's Holmes? Cholmes, my bad. Well, it sounds like there's somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asugi's? Asugi. His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is a very important Western man. Grimsby Roylott. Grimsby Roylott. That sounds really familiar. I should know what that reference is. A Western gentleman. Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder, student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is an authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly students from insignificant Far East islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, You would have never heard anything of the next door cabin, or even felt like anyone's there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganov? Shh, do not say Seaman Stroganov. Please do not say that. All time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about Student Boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Susato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly a no. I believe that's nyet. I saw nothing unusual, nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises, or sense anything was wrong in some way. Why are you looking to the side? You did hear something. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Alright. Bulkhead to second-class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistle. Huh? You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as the English say, when the pigs fly. When the lobster whistles on top of the mountain. Yes, I understand. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. So the log is mostly blank. There was nothing to report, but they clearly did hear something. Because otherwise they wouldn't be hiding that info from me. Is that a mousetrap? I have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what's called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? Oh! Okay, so we're this far back. I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhara-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it's set alarm bells ringing all over the ship. It brings the vessel to a complete stop. So it's an emergency brake. Oh. What are you doing? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. The sassy head nod and the hands on the hips. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. The ventilator from which Cosmos looked at. He saw the speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve this particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help out with our inquiries. Huh? Can't be stopped when the fit is on me. I ruffle and kick it twice. So you do this for kicks? The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? How the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Huh? This old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Royland, I believe? Yes, that's me. Oh, yeah, so that's not you. I'm the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I'm a great detective among the great detectives, one who's adorned the cover of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses the magazine like a business card. A detective. I don't trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in that small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. So this is Cosmo's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Royland. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. What are you doing? Why are you there? That's not yours. What a pity. I think we're out of of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. I agree. But there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylet. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time. That you would need to call my great powers of detection on the surface. And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylet, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why? The truth, of course. Though, it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Well then, what you're about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of the Is the fellow dubious on account of his Rushiness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, "It is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment." Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I've quite made up my mind now. There can only be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylet, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions? What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shares, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tensions as you realize you have been discovered. Doesn't mean. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, it could deduce all there is to know about a person. What ineffable twaddle. Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impacts of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color has drained from Mr. Roylet's face. It looks like somehow both of Mr. Shum's conclusions were right. How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I do cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The game is afoot. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylet, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Has the enormous pair of shears in his hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. Oh! The question then begged is, why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roulette? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular a fascinating front-page article, which it would appear you have also read, Mr. Roulette. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the articles yourself, you decide to remove your incriminating facial hair before you give it away. I am recognizing the faulty reasoning he's using, but I can understand why he's getting there. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary villain Bolshevik. That's not true. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. A revolutionary on the run. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Ah, yes, Mr. Roylet. Taken unawareness, people up. That was actually really smart. I can't even be mad about that. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies with a furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before your very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit therein. No. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? We're not well suited to the life of crime, are we? Your careless coup de... Coup d'oeil? D'oeil? Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refused to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeting revolutionary to the back page, renowned primal ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline could lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nicola Pavlova. Kidnapping of young ballerina. Both of those deductions are highly wrong, though. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. This Russian enigma, Elemensky. Susato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that part did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here for a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. That the man is a revolutionary will be able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, that part about him abducting the ballerina? Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate the young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child in that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out from the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote certain liveliness in their bodies. What? Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear. You might be thinking of a contortionist in a circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deduction just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two keywords in his deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactically switch them for alternatives? What do you think? Switch some of the keywords in his deductions. But very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone else puts up with me. That's not that funny. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Huh? I felt they might hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. You know what? Fine. You're at least showing that you're willing to take them off for a little bit, so that's something. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. Let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylet, obviously what catches the eye in the first place. Is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylet either. Which means I suppose the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a keyword here. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylet. I wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Holmes' deductions better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest to your capable hands. Why am I the one doing something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylet going to use those enormous shears for? Huh? That's hair. You have golden locks. What is this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No, the color is not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylet's head? And how is it growing from underneath his black hair? Oh yes, that's true. So it's stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here.
Yes!
Golden locks. You're about on the verge of using the shears to cut away those golden locks you sport. Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you decide to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Incorrect. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea that old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around in the room to sing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he picked doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true. Given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman, exactly, he, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in this situation recently.
Yes!
Article about ballerina. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikola Pavlova. Nina. Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. A ballerina on the run. So now, since you can't be responsible for kidnapping, what is your wrongdoing? Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Ah, yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to lend their eyes astray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glances fall. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It's not really a traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of her eyes. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I could see I'm gonna have to step in and fix the great detective's mistakes again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. You are looking towards the tiara.
Yes!
Behind the chair. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it is an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Yes, you've left your ballet troupe unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. I can sympathize, but Still. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia? An Earl? This girl's only 15 years old and she runs away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Come, let us not be so hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlovia? Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'etat? Coup duel? Betrays you. Once again, we need only follow the furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with this deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe. But why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf in all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still. Miss Pavlovia certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. You are breaking the rules. The reason why you refuse to open a case is written in the rules of passage. Found it. Yes. The reason why you refuse to open a case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move on its own accord. Which leaves one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules. A pet. Possession of a prohibited animal. Elementary. So clearly you aren't who you said you were. I am not Grimsby Vroilat. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, You still aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Bureau is a heavy steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out that scream we heard from outside the cabin? That vertible that vertible tinkling of a bell. Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away from Shanghai. I was sure they'd come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disguise myself? So no one would recognize me. As a result, you transform yourself into that questionable old man? I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then just before you came in, I saw in the newspaper. Right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew if I didn't change my appearances completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all of my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew, your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us in as much detail as you can muster about the events of last night. Wasn't it something, Mrs. Shelm's great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlovia has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. And one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. You put them right back on me, didn't you? Yep. You really are a magician. But like the unfun kind. True to my word, I've restored your shackles. When and why? There's still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlovia has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Cosmo-sama wrote about in his diary really was. What happened last night? Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps its steam engine exploded. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but I can't think about last night. But all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether you would find me. They would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet. I'm traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I will forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget. A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. The Novovich Ballet gives us only little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, I would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself? Yes. And the crew of this ship, they've all been kind to me. They let me come on board, and they said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. I can't. Now that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Bureau stopped by no port last night. She did say she got on last night. But that doesn't make sense. So how is it, pray, that you could come to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry? What was that? It is how the Russian newspaper described one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Jones once said, I can never resist the touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the elections, in fact. Yes, Mr. Showy. Anyway, it does look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right? I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Then the burly Russians would best steer themselves in unison to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. So reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Huh. You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. Ah. Two are miserable bungers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it can satisfy the needs of sustenance. So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is closely guarded secret, not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. This is the diary of my friend who passed away. Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, I can hear a faint whistling sound, and then a few minutes later, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentioned joins this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victims' cabins are connected together. Miss Pavlova? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentions mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? I don't know anything. Oh. Huh? She's fast. What? It's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry about you. Please don't worry yourself, Mr. Roylett. Get out! Ugh. It looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, We were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Perfect. And that only took about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Which makes that a great stopping point for right now. So that way I can pick up right where I left off. And since this will be forcing me to actually continue this more regularly, I should be able to retain information more. Plus, I'll be hopefully uploading more VODs on YouTube, which means that I can always go back and check if I miss something important. Which will also hopefully keep me playing this. But for now... For now, I don't think I should start another section, because if another section go... Oh, why did I get so many drop frames? I'm sure that's fine. But... yeah, I don't want to go... because I started this purely at that section, so if I do another section and that goes for another 2 hours and 30 minutes, that'll be a 5-hour stream. I'm not doing a 5-hour stream again, or at least not right now. So I'm gonna probably do this in between every... I'll probably go for only as far as the chapters go, but I'll make sure that I start and stop each part. So that way I can keep up with it. Start on that when I press any buttons. The answers to questions presenting all evidence are handled on your behalf. Some accolades may not be available if you use story mode. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know this game had that feature. Regardless, this is gonna be fun. I wanted to do this for a while anyway. I just kind of really dragged my feet when it came to doing it. Especially considering that an important friend is the reason why I even got this game, and I kind of owe it to her to play it. So... I hope you enjoyed yourselves. It's a really great experience playing another Ace Attorney game again. Well, for now, I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Oh. So I can... Oh, wait. Oh, so that only works if I'm clicked in. That's fine. I don't need to save again, because I already saved right there. So... thank you for spending time with me. I hope you had a wonderful rest. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. And I'm gonna try and I'm gonna collapse in my bed. Good night.